For more than 30 years, Johnny Carson sat behind a simple desk on The Tonight Show night after night, calm, controlled, and unshakable, as millions of Americans trusted him to guide them through laughter before sleep. He wasn't just a host, he was comfort. Presidents leaned on his wit, actors sought his approval, comedians feared his silence more than his jokes. No matter who stepped onto that stage at NBC Studios, Johnny always appeared untouchable, immune to chaos, the steady hand at the center of television's storm. But live television has a pulse, and sometimes that pulse falters. Behind that effortless smile were moments when control slipped, when guests didn't just cross the line, they erased it. These weren't playful mistakes or harmless awkwardness. These were shocking, raw collisions between fame, ego, addiction, and emotional collapse, unfolding live before millions of viewers. In those moments, even the greatest host in television history was forced to fight not for laughs, but for survival. Tonight, we revealed the most unhinged guests Johnny Carson ever had. One of the earliest shocks came in 1979, when a young Arnold Schwarzenegger appeared on The Tonight Show, long before he became the Terminator or Governor of California. He was confident, fearless, and completely unfiltered. When Johnny casually asked him to explain the sensation of muscle pump, Arnold answered with graphic sexual comparisons that froze the studio. The audience fell silent. Johnny tugged at his tie, a gesture longtime viewers knew meant discomfort. In an era when television barely acknowledged intimacy, Arnold's words detonated like a bomb. Johnny tried to recover, steering the conversation back, but the damage lingered. For once, the host wasn't leading, he was reacting. Chaos returned in 1974 when Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise turned what should have been a friendly interview into outright anarchy. What began with a harmless can of whipped cream exploded into a full-blown food fight. Water spilled, cream flew. Laughter turned to disbelief when Johnny himself was sprayed, his expensive suit ruined. The desk was soaked, the carpet destroyed. Johnny smiled, but it wasn't joy, it was restraint. He still had more guests scheduled, more television to make, and now he had to do it standing in the wreckage of his own set. It was one of the rare times The Tonight Show visibly slipped out of his control. Then there was Zsa Zsa Gabor, a woman who treated boundaries as optional. During a 1979 appearance, she reached into her purse and pulled out a gold bikini on live television. She waved it proudly, recounting affairs, naming powerful men, and delivering innuendo without hesitation. Johnny tried gently guiding her back. She ignored him. When she made him hold the bikini against his chest, the moment became iconic, not because it was funny, but because it revealed how helpless even Johnny could be against sheer audacity. He wasn't steering the interview anymore, he was surviving it. Chaos collapsed entirely when Red Fox appeared in 1975. Furious over a new no-smoking policy at NBC, Fox brought a backstage argument directly onto live television. Johnny tried humor, tried calm explanation. It didn't matter. Fox stood up, declared no smoke, no joke, and walked off the set. The audience gasped. Johnny stared, stunned. No guest had ever done that. Not to him, not on The Tonight Show. It wasn't the cigarette that hurt. It was the violation of a sacred code Johnny believed in. Once the cameras roll, you respect the show. But nothing weighed heavier than Truman Capote. When Capote appeared in 1975, the brilliant author was no longer the sharp, witty guest Johnny admired. He was impaired, rambling, slurring his words, lost in thoughts that barely connected to reality. The audience's laughter faded into silence. This wasn't entertainment, this was a man unraveling. When Capote spoke of Perry Smith as if he were still alive, Johnny knew something was deeply wrong. He ended the segment early, placing a hand on Capote's arm as the cameras cut away. Johnny never joked about it, never replayed it. Behind the scenes, he made sure Capote wasn't alone. That night wasn't about ratings, it was about dignity.
Years later, discomfort returned in a very different form when Madonna appeared in 1987. She was at the height of her provocation era and arrived determined to dominate the room. She sat too close, touched Johnny, made explicit remarks that triggered the censor button repeatedly, something nearly unheard of on The Tonight Show. Johnny pulled at his tie again. The audience laughed nervously. The control booth panicked. Madonna wasn't flirting. She was asserting power. And when the interview finally ended, Johnny's relief was unmistakable. Sometimes chaos didn't arrive as rage or intoxication. Sometimes it walked in smiling, disguised as friendship. In 1976, Don Rickles stormed onto The Tonight Show without invitation, crashing the set in the middle of another guest's interview. What followed was pure, unscripted anarchy. Rickles relentlessly insulted Johnny Carson, mocked the show itself, grabbed props, and even rummaged through Johnny's desk drawers, all live on television. The audience roared with laughter. But backstage, producers were panicking. This wasn't a planned bit, it was a full-blown takeover. Johnny glanced off stage, searching for direction, then made a split-second decision that revealed his genius. Instead of resisting the chaos, he surrendered to it. He leaned back, lit a cigarette, and let Rickles burn himself out. Johnny understood something few hosts ever grasped. Control doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes it comes from patience. The moment teetered on the edge of disaster, but Johnny never lost the audience. He didn't overpower the chaos, he absorbed it, and in doing so, quietly proved who truly owned the show. The danger escalated when Shelley Winters took a seat beside Truman Capote under the unforgiving studio lights. What should have been a routine discussion turned into an emotional explosion. Shelley had read Capote's controversial writing and recognized herself in his thinly veiled portrayals. The realization struck like a match. On live television, she erupted. Her voice climbed. Accusations poured out. Words sharpened with years of resentment were unleashed without restraint. Capote sat frozen, exposed and vulnerable, as the audience realized this wasn't performance, it was personal. Johnny reacted instantly. He leaned forward, then physically placed himself between them, a quiet but powerful act meant to stop the moment from spiraling into something irreversible. He cut to commercial early, breaking the illusion of control to protect both guests and the audience watching at home. When the show returned, Johnny used soft humor to ease the tension, but his posture told the truth. His shoulders were tight, his eyes stayed alert. He wasn't relaxed, he was working, carefully holding together a show that was seconds away from collapse. Not long after, chaos returned in a different form with Oliver Reed, a man whose reputation for heavy drinking had already become legend. By 1975, Reed arrived at NBC studios visibly intoxicated. His speech slurred, his thoughts drifted, and his body barely obeyed him. He rambled without direction, knocked over props, and nearly fell from his chair. Johnny tried everything: redirection, humor, patience, but nothing could anchor Reed to reality. For one of the few times in his career, Johnny made a hard decision. He ended the segment early, not to save television, but to ensure safety and dignity. Reed was quietly escorted off and never invited back. Through it all, the ego, the excess, the public unraveling, Johnny Carson held the line. He didn't exploit suffering or turn pain into spectacle. He absorbed the chaos so the audience wouldn't have to. And that is why these moments still matter. Not because they were shocking, but because they revealed the true cost of live television and the quiet strength of the man who carried it night after night. Johnny Carson didn't just host The Tonight Show, he protected it. If you respect legends like Johnny, Like, share, and subscribe for more untold television stories. Thanks for watching.